We welcome you to downtown Indianapolis inside Gainbridge Fieldhouse for Thunder playoff postgame. Game 6 of the NBA Finals between OKC and Indiana is in the books with the final score 108-91. The series now tied up 3-3. As we welcome you inside the building, it is a busy scene here in Gainbridge Fieldhouse just following Game 6 as the Indiana Pacers tie up this series 3-3 in these NBA Finals, walking away with a pretty big win over the Oklahoma City Thunder. And a lot went right for the Pacers, and a few things went awry for Oklahoma City in this one. As we welcome you inside, I'm Paris Lawson alongside Royce Young. And Royce, this is what the Pacers have made a living on in this postseason. It's just not going away. And they played with a lot of desperation tonight, and a lot of desperation that we kind of anticipated with their backs against the wall tonight.
Yeah, and, like you said, the Thunder did a few things right. And, I think it was 34-33.
Yep.
And it felt like the Thunder were really kind of gaining a foothold in the game and kind of survived a storm early in that first quarter. It felt like the Thunder were going to settle into the game. Obviously, so much hype and anticipation, knowing that you're a game away from an NBA title, and you spend 2 days really trying to block out all that noise. And, every Thunder player, we were around them, they all said the right things. I think the focus level was tremendous from this group.
Yeah.
But you can't ignore the fact that this environment is tough to play in, and that emotional distraction is always going to be there. And when things started to go sideways for OKC, they just couldn't get the car back on the road. So, kind of my overall thought on this is that I'm born and raised from Oklahoma. Oklahoma's always about doing hard things.
Yep.
It always had to be 7 games to get this done.
It certainly can. And good thing for the Thunder, that Game 7 is going to be back home in Oklahoma City. But for now, let's get you over to the press room so you can hear from Thunder head coach Mark Daigneault, who's at the podium.
Start right here in the front, in the middle, Jenny.
Hey, Mark, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Obviously, a lot did not go right for you guys tonight, but Shea having 8 turnovers, just very uncharacteristic. What did you see out of him, and just why he kind of seemed to get off track tonight?
Yeah, I think that's the word from our standpoint. First of all, credit Indiana. I thought they obviously earned the win. They outplayed us for most of the 48 minutes, and that's the story of the game. They went out there and attacked the game. From our standpoint, it was uncharacteristic. It was disappointing, but it was collective. It wasn't one guy. We were not where we needed to be on either end of the floor for much of the game, and we have to be a lot better, before Game 7.
First row, Joel.
Joel Lorenzi with the Oklahoma. Mark, I think the figure I saw was that the 60 points you had leading into the fourth was the fewest you've had in a game through 3 quarters all season. Sort of, what did you feel was lacking, especially stylistically and competitively on offense, and were there moments that you thought you should have capitalized on?
I'll look at it. Obviously it was a very poor performance by us, but there's 2 teams out there. I want to give Indiana credit for the way they defended, the way they competed in the game, the way they played all the way around. They had a lot to do with it. And there was stuff that I thought we could have controlled that could have been better. So we have to own that. We'll look at it. We'll learn from it, like we always do. And then we got to obviously be much better going into Game 7.
Front row, Barry.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. You actually outshot them in the first half, and you're getting beat 22. Is that a sign that just everything else, you played with no force or no will or whatever the word might be?
Yeah, I think obviously the turnovers in the first half, that's uncharacteristic for us to turn it over like that. That led to fast break points. I thought that's what ignited them. And it was a lot of it was an offensive issue, tonight, and especially in the first half. I just thought we were really stagnant. I thought some of that was, like I said, the way Indiana played. There's 2 teams out there, and they deserve a lot of credit for how they played tonight. So we'll look at it, learn from it, figure out what we need to do to be better, and we're going to go out there and execute it in Game 7.
Fourth row on the right, David.
Mark, I know you know this, and I know your players know this, but is it in any way instructive to them, being a young team that has never had a chance to clinch a championship before, to see how incredibly hard it is to win a 4th game to win an NBA championship?
It was hard tonight. Indiana was great, and we were not. So we have the same opportunity Indiana does on Sunday. Score will be 0-0 when the ball goes up in the air. It's a privilege to play in Game 7s. It's a privilege to play in the finals. As disappointing as tonight was, we're grateful for the opportunity And we put in a lot of work this season to be able to play that game at home, which is exciting to be able to do it in front of our fans. So, obviously disappointed tonight, but we'll regroup, get back to zero, learn from it with clear eyes like we always do, get ourselves as ready as we can be to play Game 7 on Sunday.
First row, third seat in.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Mark, when Indiana was going on kind of an extended run after you guys took an early lead in the first quarter, looked like maybe there was moments where you could have called timeout. I know that didn't end up having any bearing on the game, but was that you sort of maybe waiting for your guys to show something, or kind of didn't want to like give in to the crowd, or what Indy was doing?
I mean, the timeout thing's an art. You get I use 5 of them before the 7-minute mark or the third, so you don't get an unlimited number. And we have to have the ability to play through some things. I thought I tried to stop the play when I could, but all the way around, we just weren't where we needed to be tonight. But our ability to course correct in game is important. We've done that well. We have to do that in these games, 48-minute game.
I think you guys were 1 of 11 from 3 in the first half, and I'm not sure you even had a corner 3. And that's happened a few times in this series. How concerning is not only the lack of accuracy, but volume of threes at certain points of this series?
Yeah, it's definitely been an issue in some of these games. Game 4 comes to mind. I think we got 17 in that game. Thought we found some things in Game 5. And I thought they did a really good job on us tonight. I thought the low volume and the accuracy was reflective of the way they guarded us and our inability to create a rhythm against that, the way that we've been able to do in some of the other games. So we'll look at it, learn from it. We obviously have to be a lot better on Sunday if we want to win the game.
Last question, first row.
Joseph Pavone, clutch points. Just the beginning of that second half offensively, I mean, you went 0 for 5 from 3, had a chance to regroup there. What did you see go wrong in the sense of, your offense throughout that second half, just from the third quarter to the end of or heading into the fourth?
Yeah, I mean, as disappointing as the first half was, the game is in striking distance at that point. If you come out and you throw the first punch, and we strung together some stops. I mean, I think it was 2-0 at the first time out, so it wasn't a defensive issue. But I just thought the offense all night was a click slow. Again, Indiana played great. They deserved to win. They had a lot to do with that, so not discrediting them at all. But we also have to look in the mirror, learn from the game, be a lot better on Sunday.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, some good takeaways that the Thunder can take from this game. And you heard from Coach Daigneault there. I thought it was interesting. It was more of an offensive thing for Oklahoma City in this game tonight. I mean, you look at the final score, Indiana only put up 108 points, and they're a very different team when they're not scoring over 110. So for Oklahoma City, it was really just not being able to generate the offense to keep up with them in this game tonight. And he mentioned the way Indiana was guarding them.
It's been a weird stat in this postseason, but I think this is the first game Indiana has won when not scoring at least 111 points.
Yeah.
So it's kind of been a weird thing, but clearly, like you said, this team has not necessarily won games in a kind of gritty defensive fashion, but that's what they did tonight. A lot of it, I think, like Mark said, credit the Pacers. They did an excellent job of really making things difficult for the Thunder, but also the Thunder just got sticky again like we saw in games 3 and 4. Weren't able to – we talked about it coming out of game 5 that was going to be a challenge for the Thunder to be able to bring some of that positivity and offensive momentum on the road here, and they were not able to do it. And, it was that last question there to Mark, and it was very kind of shocking to me. The Thunder came out of halftime and got 7 straight stops.
Yep.
There was a real opportunity there to cut a 22-point lead down to 14 or 12 and really start to feel like you're gaining foothold back in the game. But OKC's offense just was kind of stuck.
Yeah, Indiana with a lot of pressure, especially in that half court, able to slow Oklahoma City down enough to walk away with a Game 6 victory here today. But we are going to continue to break it.
Hey, have you heard what's happening at Mathis Home? Get new lower prices all summer long with price drop alerts all over the store. They have all the latest looks at unbeatable prices. Like this big sofa with curved arms and 5 plush throw pillows. They dropped the price to just $5.99. That's an incredible value. And with their huge selection, you're sure to find the style that's just right for you. In stock with fast, free delivery. Look for price drop alert tags and save now at your furniture superstore, Mathis Home.
Leadership starts at home. That's why Ford is from America, for America. And with a lineup of our most popular Ford trucks and SUVs, we're for Oklahoma too. Including F-150, Bronco, and Expedition. That's our leadership lineup. Right now, get employee pricing. You pay what we pay. Ford, from America, for America. At your best in Oklahoma Ford dealers. Proud truck partner of the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Riverwind is bringing the heat this June at OKC's favorite casino.
So get the party started with the hottest jackpots in town.
Book a stay at our hotel for a weekend of fun with friends.
Win like an all-star on your go-to games.
Grab a bite and a bev at one of our fabulous eateries.
Go for gold with your wild card and play for your chance at $80,000 in our Sunshine Riches giveaway.
For the best summer yet and unforgettable good times, make it Riverwind.
We're here in downtown Indianapolis inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse, the site of Game 6 of these NBA Finals. The Thunder falling shy here tonight. The Pacers walking away with a 108-91 victory, and this series is going to a Game 7 back in Oklahoma City on Sunday. Game 7 on Sunday starts early with Thunder Up in the Park. Get ready for tip-off at Scissortail Park with live music, games, and giveaways. Head to okcthunder.com/thunderupinthepark for more info. As we welcome you back inside, I'm Paris Lawson alongside Royce Young. And Royce, we've talked about, kind of what went wrong for Oklahoma City, what went right for Indiana, but contextually, Game 6 is closing out a series on the road. It's the hardest thing to do in really all of professional sports, and you start to understand the reason why. You have a team with their back up against the wall like the Pacers, a team who is known for their massive comebacks, their scrappiness, and they're in their home arena. So the environment is just meant to make it as difficult as possible to close out a series.
We saw it, the Thunder in Denver, and it was, the Thunder were a little more competitive throughout that game, and Denver was able to build a lead in the fourth quarter. I think Denver won that one by 13 or something like that. But it was kind of a similar type of story where, that home crowd can really kind of churn on runs. It can make those momentum swinging plays feel so much weightier. We see role players tend to perform well and with more confidence. It's an odd phenomenon. You would think that it's a basketball game. Why does the crowd matter? But it does. It does. Just home field in every sport that you play has an effect on the game.
Yeah.
And that was obviously part of this outcome here tonight. And the Thunder were not able to really withstand some of those dramatic momentum-shifting plays. Yeah. Flipping ahead, now the Thunder have the wind at their sails, hopefully, with the home crowd that is obviously going to be quite turned up for Game 7 on Sunday.
Well, and the Thunder earned that opportunity to be able to play a Game 7 in their home court because of all the work they did in the regular season, winning that #1 seed in the Western Conference and the best record in the NBA. That allows you this opportunity to have this sort of advantage in such a pivotal Game 7, which the Thunder is going to play on Sunday. But in terms of takeaways from this game, Royce, there are a lot of tangible ones for Oklahoma City, and I imagine kind of top of the list for OKC going into Game 7 is taking care of the ball.
Absolutely. I mean, just super uncharacteristic.
Yeah.
Kind of as that first half played out, and that's where things did spiral out of control. Some of the turnovers, there's always a difference in kind of stylistic turnovers. Sometimes when you're trying to make the right play, thread a needle, and those are the types of turnovers you can often live with. It's the out on the open floor, live ball turnovers that kind of generated from sloppiness or miscommunication that then turn into 2 points the other way. And again, that's what the Thunder are known for doing, is doing that exact thing to teams. And a lot of that comes from disrupting rhythm, getting teams out of their comfort zone, overthinking possessions, overthinking their execution. They don't get into the flow state that they want to get into. Yeah. So it's kind of this, esoteric thing where you're like, you can't really put your finger on why they're happening. It's not just focus. It's not just, mental breakdowns or whatever. There's a lot of things that kind of contribute to that. And whatever those reasons were, the Thunder were just way too careless with the ball tonight.
And I think one of the big variables in this is how Indiana was guarding Oklahoma City. Yep. I mean, Indiana is a very pesky defense as well as frenetic as they play offensively in terms of their pace, they do that on the defensive end. And I thought it was interesting, Royce. We didn't see a ton of full court pressure from the Pacers in this game, but a lot of half court pressure from everybody, it felt like, on the ball and in help.
And, that's what they've done so much throughout the series was those pickup points.
Yeah.
And that they've basically full court pressed, and they did kind of peel back on that a little bit, and they were essentially trying to kind of trap almost at half court, really blitz a lot of the pick and rolls, really try to scramble all over the court. And that's where the Thunder, I think, can go back to film and maybe learn from some of that. Is this was maybe a little bit more of a traditional look. I mean, look, I'm no basketball X's and O's expert, but that sort of thing is a little more classic NBA blitz defense right there. And the Thunder obviously have seen a lot of every type of defense all season long. That's where you do want to get a lot of side-to-side action and really try to stretch them thin, where they're now trying to cover in rotations 2, 3, 4 different times and help, and you're really playing your advantages. In the Thunder, it was a great question there. I don't know that they took a corner 3 until late in the fourth quarter. That's unusual in an NBA game.
Yeah, and especially for the Thunder, whose bread and butter is that ball movement to get good looks in the corners for guys to knock those down. And then you think about also the other element for Oklahoma City, generating turnovers themselves and getting that out in transition. We saw that a lot in Game 5. The Thunder able to churn up those miscues for Indiana and convert those into points on the other end of the floor.
And I think sometimes, again, the human element of this is that you want it to happen so bad. And so sometimes obviously the Thunder know how good they are at that. And I think there's sometimes an instinct to try to be the guy that makes that happen. And sometimes that means you get out of position or there was a couple different times, Paris, where the Thunder causes deflection. The ball was loose and they didn't get it.
Yeah.
And again, that's just kind of sometimes the bounce of the ball.
Yeah. And this is the beauty of a series, right? It's the first to 4, not the first to 3. So for Oklahoma City, they get to do what they do so well, which is learn the lessons from this game, adapt them, and then apply them in a Game 7 at home. All right, stick with us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. We got more coming for you when we come back right after this break.
My doctor is my hero.
My doctor makes me happy, makes me feel safe.
It helps me get strong.
We're just so grateful that we don't have to travel out of state.
Oklahoma Children's Hospital cares for my child like their own.
Gives us hope.
And has our trust.
Last year, 35% of all auto accident deaths were rollovers. If you've been in a wreck, don't hesitate to call us. This is why you need our number in your phone. This could be you.
When you call our firm, you're going to get one of us, not some paralegal or office manager.
Most lawyers, they take more money than their clients. Most of the time, a lot more.
We don't, and we guarantee it.
With OG&E Smart Hours, you control your energy and your savings. If you're a busy bee, go with Smart Hours Daily, where daily price alerts let you maximize savings. Or how about Smart Hours Fixed? Just set it and forget it. Night owl? Choose Smart Hours overnight. No matter which you choose, with Smart Hours, you control your energy and your savings. When you reduce your energy use between 2 and 7 p.m. this summer, you help the grid, the environment, and your wallet. But you have to sign up to save. So sign up now at oge.com/smarthours.
Back inside of Gainbridge Fieldhouse, wrapping up this Game 6 here in downtown Indianapolis. The Thunder fall short, 108-91. This series is now all knotted up 3-3, and we are heading to a Game 7. Speaking of which, mark your calendars, Thunder fans. Game 7 is going to be at home inside of Paycom Center on Sunday, and it tips off at 7 p.m. Central Time. You heard us earlier, Thunder Up in the Park is going to happen as well. Doors will be open early. Get in there, put on those T-shirts, because it's going to be a good one. If all of these games have been any indication, this is going to be a really good matchup between these two teams on Sunday. And the Thunder, they have a lot to take away from this one, a lot of lessons that they can go back, watch the film, learn from, and apply in that Game 7. And Royce, you and I were just talking, another element to this was just a little uncharacteristic for Oklahoma City, in addition to the turnovers, just a low low assist game for this team. And obviously, if the shot's not falling, that's going to lead to fewer assists. But it just felt like the ball was maybe a little sticky for OKC tonight.
Yeah, for sure. You know, there was a time in that first half where it really just kind of felt like it was either Shea or Dub that kind of had to score. And look, they were doing a great job of carrying the offense to a large degree. But, you know, the Thunder are not just a straight ISO-heavy team. That's not ever been really their identity. A lot of times they can use that to get into other actions. But, you know, it does impact it when the ball's not going to the basket. The Thunder, again, for whatever reason, did not shoot it well in this building. And they haven't in this series at all. Thankfully, they don't got to come back. I mean, they get to play this last game in their home building, which, you know, I'd also say that kind of similar to that Game 7 against Denver, that one had 2 days off going into it. I know that the finals have been spaced out much differently than the other rounds, but I think 2 days off is going to be really helpful for the Thunder. Obviously, everybody's trying to heal up and get healthier, but I think from a mental reset standpoint, I think for the Thunder being able to get to 0, really kind of dig into what they need to do better in that Game 7, I think will be really helpful.
And just in general, just the ability to digest this, be able to go home, sleep in your own bed, which is a really great opportunity for Oklahoma City, just to be able to take in everything that they learned from this game, get back to 0-0, because this series quite literally is 0-0 now. And
good point.
there's just one opportunity ahead of them. And the Thunder and the Pacers now have the same opportunity ahead of them, and that's to close out this series and be the champion of this league. And so there's a lot at stake, but the thing for Oklahoma City, which we heard from them coming into this game, is that human nature is going to make you want to look ahead and look around at the stakes surrounding that game. But what we've seen from Oklahoma City throughout this season is their ability to try to block all of that out. And it's a tough thing to do, especially at this stage in the NBA, but this team has been building that muscle for a while.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, their resolve and their resilience all season long has been such an impressive element of this team, the way that they've consistently been able to get to 0, get to baseline, and, you know, whether you view it as a bounce back or just playing back to their identity, this team has done it all season long. They've done it throughout the postseason as well. You think of that Game 4 or Game 3 in Minneapolis, where obviously the Thunder played not well in that game at all, saw a big margin of defeat, and then they bounced back with an incredible performance in a Game 4. So again, you can kind of call back on some of those experiences. I don't think that you can just be presumptuous and say that it's going to happen again just because you happen to beat Denver in Game 7 and you've done that before. But they do have experiences that they can draw upon, and as we've talked about all season long, that's what this team is expert at doing, is learning through those things and applying some of the lessons from them. So I think that will be helpful going into this Game 7, and it's a both team situation.
Exactly.
Both teams now are sitting there with one game away from an NBA championship. That distraction, that noise exists for both teams now. The Pacers are going to hear about it for 2 days in a row now. And so, like you said, it's single elimination. It's March Madness here. It's one game and you're out. And you know, that'll be a stressful situation for everybody.
But here's the thing. It's not supposed to be easy, and that's what we've heard from these Thunder players. We heard it from Coach Daigneault. This is the NBA Finals. Both of these teams have worked their way to get to this point. They've earned the opportunity to be here, and you heard from Coach Daigneault postgame. It's a privilege to be here. It's a privilege to play in a Game 7. It's not going to be easy, but there is a lot that you could take away from just the fact that both of these two teams are here, and the job's still not done, and you know there's still a lot to do on the horizon here.
Yeah, J-Dub said it, that pressure is a privilege. It means you're playing in high-stakes games, and so, you know, this is where you can really kind of tap into who you are, learn a lot about yourself. It's a great opportunity for both teams to be involved in this. It's going to be difficult. It's going to be stressful. Game 7s always kind of take on their own identity.
They do.
A lot of times you see very low-scoring rock fights in a Game 7, especially in the finals, because there's a lot of tension. There's a lot of stress. So it's going to be about kind of testing that mental fortitude.
We'll get you all ready for Game 7, so stick with us here on Thunder Playoff Postgame. Everything you need to know as you head into Sunday, and the Thunder face off against the Pacers in Game 7 of these NBA Finals. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Let Love's be your partner on your summer RV trip. Fuel up, grab a bite to eat, and stay the night at one of our 90 RV stops. Reserve an RV spot overnight and turn on amenities from your phone. With over 420 dog parks, we've even got your furry family members covered. We're the perfect pit stop for your next road trip. Love's, the heart of the highway.
Last year, 35% of all auto accident deaths were rollovers. If you've been in a wreck, don't hesitate to call us. This is why you need our number in your phone. This could be you.
When you call our firm, you're going to get one of us, not some paralegal or office manager.
Most lawyers, they take more money than their clients. Most of the time, a lot more.
We don't, and we guarantee it.
Experience the sweet, vibrant flavors of Mexico in every spoonful of Brahms' new fancy sundaes. Enjoy a cascade of fresh fruits on Brahms' Tarta de Fresa Crema Sundae. Indulge in creamy cinnamon-kissed ice cream with silky caramel on the Chongo's Zamorano Sundae. Dive into strawberry paradise with Brahms' Fresas con Crema Sundae and savor each caramel-filled bite of Brahms' Sopapilla Cheesecake Sundae. Authentic flavors, bold traditions, and irresistible sweetness in every scoop only at Brahms.
Welcome back to Thunder Playoff Postgame. We are here courtside here in Gainbridge Fieldhouse in downtown Indianapolis following Game 6 of these NBA Finals. The Pacers walk away with this one 108-91, and this series is now all knotted up 3-3 heading to Game 7 in Oklahoma City. As we welcome you back inside, I'm Paris Lawson alongside Royce Young, and as we now look ahead, we know that Game 7 is necessary for this one, Royce. Stressful as it is, it takes on kind of a new feel, a new energy. You're going to be at home, which is great for Oklahoma City. Royce, you've been a part of a lot of Game 7s, especially with the Thunder. What can Thunder fans anticipate?
I mean, Game 7s, like you said, they do take on kind of a life of their own because it is single elimination, and somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. And somebody's season, really, both teams in this case, the season's going to be over, but somebody's going to be very happy at the end of it, and somebody's going to be extremely disappointed. So a lot of times what you see in Game 7s, the crowd is obviously going to be incredible and supportive and always at the putting the wind at the back of the Thunder, but there is always a tension and an anxiety that kind of creeps into the building. It's just natural. You can't avoid that fact because of how much is on the line and the stakes of it. And so a lot of times what you see is some tightness in some of those games. And, historically speaking, Game 7s are almost always the scoring is almost always lower because of that. The shooting is always a little bit worse. And a lot of times it's about grind. It's about resolve. It's about trying to manufacture points all over the place. So, the last NBA Finals Game 7 I was at, I've been to a couple of them. I think 2016 Warriors Cavs and then 2013 Heat Spurs.
Okay.
Both of those were very different Game 7s, but the intensity, it's always about those big, huge moments that swing games.
So this is where it's really beneficial for a team like Oklahoma City, who has learned to win games in very different kinds of ways. We've seen them win in straight-up shootouts. We've seen them have to win in just slow, grinded out, really mucked-up games. And so for Oklahoma City going into this Game 7, you have the crowd at your back, and you have that adaptability as a team to be able to win in a variety of ways.
It's a great point. I mean, glass half full here about that sort of thing. And, the Thunder's identity is not one specific thing.
Yeah.
And they've really built this muscle of being able to win in a variety of ways. We saw it in Game 4 in this series. No NBA team in the year of our Lord 2025 should be able to win a game shooting 3 of 17 from 3. But this team did it.
They did.
Because they found ways to manufacture points. They won on the margins all over the place, and they won that game. So that's kind of sometimes how a Game 7 might look, is that sort of thing. So this team has the ability to really kind of flex outside of anything, and they can win a variety of ways, which I think is a great skill to have going into a Game 7.
Yeah, they're definitely going to need to use that as they head into Game 7 on Sunday. But for now, let's get you back over to the press room. Chet Holmgren is at the podium addressing the media.
All right, first question, we'll start with Jenny, front row.
Hey, Chet, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. Felt like even early on, you guys, turnovers, just kind of out of sorts. What got you guys off track and had sort of an uncharacteristic performance tonight?
I don't think it was one factor, but no matter what it is, we have to be better at kind of course correcting, getting ourselves back on the right track. I personally, myself, could be better, trying to help us get things going in the right way. So we're going to watch the film and see where we can be better. And at the end of the day, we still have a great opportunity, Game 7. We have to come out and execute.
First row, middle, Barry.
Yeah, Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. Chet, what's the explanation for a game like that where literally nothing went right or worked for you?
Again, I don't think it's a one-sentence answer or one-word answer. But at the end of the day, no matter, there really is no explanation. There's no excuse. We have to be better. We have to execute better. From top to bottom, myself included. And I'm gonna see where I can be better, and do my best to execute in Game 7 coming up.
First row here, Joe.
Joe Masato, the Oklahoman. Chet, how do you guys, as a team, balance the disappointment of not closing it out tonight versus knowing that you do have that Game 7 to fall back on?
Sorry, just trying to cut the emotion out of it. Obviously, that's frustrating. It's not fun. Nobody's happy right now. But you can't let the emotions kind of sidetrack you from what we need to do leading up to and during the game coming up. We've had wins and losses throughout the playoffs, so it's kind of similar mentality. Turn the page, don't forget what just happened, but see where you can be better, and then try and apply it going forward.
Second row, middle.
Justin Martinez with the Oklahoman. Chet, for a series that's had such drastic swings and momentum, just how valuable is it to have this Game 7 at home in front of the crowd?
Obviously, it's a great opportunity. You could ask every team in the NBA, every team would take this opportunity, take this chance, and we're no different, and it's on us to go out there and make the most of it.
Front row, Joel.
Joel Lorenzi, the Oklahoma. Chet, obviously you guys through this playoff run have had so many different, unique and new experiences. What did you sort of learn about the difficulties of closing out a finals?
I'd say it's very similar to a closeout game in any series. No team's just going to roll over and go home. It's going to be really physical. There's not going to be any favors from the officiating. There's, it's really, you have to make it happen. It's not going to happen by accident. So, we have to learn the lesson from tonight and come back and be better.
Thank you, Chet.
All right, you heard Chet Holmgren. This group going to try to strip all the emotion out of this and get ready for that Game 7. It's something that they've really built a muscle of over the course of this season, is getting to zero, learning the lessons, and really being kind of cold-blooded when it comes to the emotions of games and just leaving them behind, just taking the lessons from them. But how about we go back to the podium, because Jaylen Williams, J-Dub, is sitting down addressing the media. Let's listen in.
All right, first question, Jenny in the front row.
Jaylen, Jenny Carlson with the Oklahoman. The turnovers tonight, uncharacteristic for you guys to lose that turnover battle. What sort of contributed to that? Shea had a bunch. You had more than normal. It just felt like everybody was just not taking care of the ball very well.
It just got sticky. I feel like when our defense wasn't very good. And when you're constantly taking the ball out and you're playing against a set defense over and over again, that's part of it. Other part, we didn't do a good job trusting each other to make the next play, like we did Game 5. So we'll look at some things. Obviously, they made a couple adjustments, so we'll look at that too. But a lot of it was, just not trusting each other to make the right plays. And that starts with me being better. Figuring out different ways to get my teammates involved and stuff like that. So the good news is we have another game to figure it out.
First row, Joel.
Joel Lorenzi with the Oklahoman. A little bit of a two-parter. You guys have talked a lot about the human elements of these games. I wonder, at any point did sort of the human element of knowing you had a Game 7 creep in, and what did you sort of learn today about how different it might feel to close a finals versus closing any other series?
The human element, well, I can't speak for my whole team, but the human element didn't creep in for me until we got blown out. So I didn't start thinking about Game 7 until we walked off the floor, or really when the game was kind of out of reach. But I think we had the right mindset coming into it. I think there was different things that we didn't do in the game well that hurt us. But closing out in the finals is different from playoff game because it's the end of the season. You know what I mean? And you play for so long that it just has more weight to it. Obviously, you want to win a championship, and you don't want it to feel like it was all for nothing. So that's been the biggest difference between like closing out now as opposed to like a Denver series or Minnesota. And I feel like they probably felt that way too. Like for them being down 3-2, knowing that your season's like on the line and you're in the finals just has more weight to it.
Second row on the right, Malika.
J-Dub, you and I spoke a couple of days ago about the feeling of having expectations and then not meeting them that you all had, for example, last season. And now it's coming down to one game, winner take all. It's why you play, but does that thought of not having that same feeling again now start to creep in, knowing it's 0-0 again, essentially, in this series?
Yeah, that feeling has never really left for me. Again, I don't want to speak for the whole team. Like, we're all, that's the human part of, you know, playing a sport, is everybody's going to feel some type of way, but I've definitely had that feeling. Like, the whole year I've had that feeling in December. You work really hard in the summer to get better at things, and when they don't come to light the way you want to, it's kind of easy to get off track and feel sorry for yourself. But at the same time, I try and like be where my feet are. Like, I'm in the NBA Finals at 24 years old in year 3. So I always try and keep that into perspective, and I'm just going to go into this next game and try and play hard and play better than what I did tonight. And wherever the chips fall, they fall, but I'm not going to go after this game and think like, oh, I didn't play hard, or, you know, whatever the case may be. Just relishing the opportunity.
Last question, Barry.
Barry Trammell, Tulsa World. It's no crime to lose a Game 6 on the road, Jaylen, but to lose like this, is there a concern that you emboldened the Pacers and gave them even more confidence for a tough road Game 7 on the road?
That probably has something to do with it a little bit. If they would have won by 1, they probably would have walked out of this game with confidence. You know what I mean? And that's what makes them a good team. That's what makes us a good team, is like we both play to our identity regardless of what's going on. So, I mean, they're going to go into Game 7 and confident, and so are we.
Thank you, Jeff.
Score is now 0-0, and it is now winner takes all in a Game 7 on Sunday inside of Paycom Center. And Royce, you and I were talking about it. Once this Game 7 takes place, it'll have been 18 days for this NBA Finals series. It felt like the Denver series was long, and that one, well, I think it was like 14 days compared to this one.
Yeah, it's such a grind to get through this, and it's so difficult to kind of maintain your mental focus, and obviously the physicality, the wear and tear that goes into all these games. There's so many ups and downs, and I mean, just rewind through this playoff series, and we've talked about the Denver series, but all these kind of emotional highs and lows that you got to deal with. Again, this team spent 2 days with everybody talking about 40 points for Dub in Game 5 and 1 game away and a crowning achievement, and they've got to hear all that. They've still got to focus in and try to play the game. So it's another challenge to get through. Game 7 is going to be difficult. It's going to be anxiety-filled. It's going to be tense. It's also going to be fun. It's going to be a huge opportunity. What a moment for Oklahoma City to have Game 7 of the NBA Finals, and we'll see what happens.
I mean, we could take a page from Dub's book, Being Where Our Feet Are. Game 7, the 2 greatest words in all of sports, and the Thunder get a chance to play in their home arena in Paycom Center on Sunday. But that wraps us up here in Gainbridge Fieldhouse, breaking down Game 6 of these NBA Finals. Thank you so much for joining us here in downtown Indianapolis. Once again, our final score, 108-91, with the series now 3-3. For Royce Young, I'm Paris Lawson. A reminder to join us for a complete breakdown and reaction following Game 7 on Sunday from Paycom Center. Until then, good night from downtown Indianapolis.